Trade Commissioner ZYXTAL reviewed the atmospheric analysis for the third time, mandibles clicking in confusion. The readings couldn't be correct. No sentient species could survive in such a corrosive environment. Yet here was irrefutable evidence that these humans not only survived but thrived in an atmosphere containing 21% pure oxygen. Recalibrate the sensors, they ordered their assistant. These readings must be corrupted. Sensors are functioning normally, Commissioner, the assistant replied, their bioluminescent patches pulsing a steady green. The human delegation will arrive in 30 standard cycles to discuss their Trade Federation application. Should we implement emergency protocols? ZYXTAL's outer membrane rippled with concern. The Galactic Trade Federation had strict safety protocols regarding toxic environments. Most species conducted negotiations in carefully controlled atmospheric chambers containing no more than 3% oxygen. Anything higher was considered an industrial hazard. What do their medical records indicate? ZYXTAL asked, bringing up the preliminary species report on their neural interface. The data stream painted an even more alarming picture. Humans didn't just tolerate oxygen, they required it. Their entire biological processes were built around oxygen-based cellular respiration. Their blood literally carried the corrosive element throughout their bodies. Fascinating, ZYXTAL murmured. And troubling. The Council will never approve their application. The liability concerns alone. A notification interrupted their analysis. The human delegation had arrived early. Through the observation window, ZYXTAL watched as 3 humans stepped out of their transport vessel, wearing no protective gear beyond simple clothing. Their respiratory systems openly processing the toxic oxygen mix as if it were perfectly natural. Commissioner, their assistant interjected, preliminary scans show their internal temperature is 37 degrees Celsius. ZYXTAL's species regulated at a comfortable 12 degrees. The humans were walking fusion reactors by comparison. The combination of high temperature and oxygen processing should have been impossible. Yet there they stood, apparently comfortable, waiting to be admitted to the trading station. Prepare the isolation chamber, ZYXTAL ordered. And contact the Biochemical Applications Division. I want their analysts present for the initial meeting. As the humans were escorted to the negotiation chamber, ZYXTAL began to see past their initial horror. Yes, these oxygen breathers were dangerous by their very nature. But perhaps that was exactly what made them valuable. The lead human negotiator, Amanda Chen, smiled as she entered the chamber. The expression exposed her teeth, another unsettling feature that nonetheless commanded ZYXTAL's attention. Commissioner, Chen said, her voice clear through the translation field, we understand our biology presents certain challenges. But we believe what you see as limitations are actually opportunities. ZYXTAL's analytical mind began racing with possibilities. Humans could survive in environments that would be lethal to most species. Their high-temperature tolerance and oxygen processing could make them invaluable for certain specialized operations. Continue, they said, settling into their suspension field. Tell me about these opportunities. Chen's smile widened. Commissioner, have you ever wondered why your species abandoned surface mining on oxygen-rich worlds? Why certain chemical processes require expensive atmospheric scrubbing? Why some of the most resource-rich planets in the Federation remain untapped? ZYXTAL's membrane shifted to a deep blue of sudden understanding. The humans weren't just applying for trade status, they were offering solutions to problems that had plagued the Federation for centuries. You're not just oxygen tolerant, ZYXTAL said slowly. You're oxygen specialists. Precisely, Chen replied. We've adapted our entire civilization around managing and utilizing oxygen. From our earliest industrial processes to our most advanced terraforming technologies, we've turned what you see as a toxin into a tool. The meeting continued for hours as the humans outlined their proposals. With each presentation, ZYXTAL's initial fear transformed into excitement. The council would still need convincing, but the commissioner was already calculating the potential profits of being the first to recognize this unique opportunity. As the humans prepared to leave, Chen paused at the chamber door. "Commissioner, we know our biology makes others uncomfortable. But consider this, in a galaxy where most species flee from oxygen-rich environments, wouldn't it be valuable to have allies who run toward them?" Zwickstall's membrane rippled with amusement. These humans understood marketing better than expected. They weren't selling their oxygen tolerance as a liability to be managed, they were selling it as a premium service. "Return tomorrow," Zwickstall said. "Bring your technical teams. I want to understand exactly what humans can do in environments that would kill the rest of us." Chen nodded, that unsettling but somehow compelling smile returning. "We'll bring our engineers and environmental specialists." "And Commissioner?" "That's just the beginning of what humans can do." As the delegation departed, Zwickstall began preparing their report to the council. The humans were dangerous, yes. Their very biology was a hazard. But sometimes, the most profitable opportunities were the ones that made you uncomfortable at first glance. The demonstration chamber at the Federation Trade Center wasn't designed for what the humans had in mind. Every safety protocol had to be overridden, every warning system temporarily disabled. Chief Engineer Krell watched in barely concealed horror as the chamber's oxygen levels rose to what the humans called standard atmospheric conditions. "The structural integrity of the chamber will be compromised," Krell chittered nervously to Commissioner Zwickstall. "These levels of oxygen will accelerate corrosion by—" "That's exactly the point," Amanda Chen interrupted, still wearing that disconcerting smile. She stood with her team of engineers, all of them completely at ease in what most species considered a death trap. "Watch." The demonstration chamber's main viewport revealed a simulation of a class for oxygen-rich mining world. The kind of environment that had claimed countless lives and billions in equipment losses over the centuries. The humans had requested this specific scenario. Standard Federation mining operations on oxygen-rich worlds require complex atmospheric processing, Chen explained. Your equipment needs protection. Your workers need sealed environments. Every step requires careful management of oxygen exposure. She gestured to the cost analysis hovering in the holographic display. 40% of your operational budget goes to oxygen mitigation alone. One of the human engineers, Dr. Marcus Webb, stepped forward. "Now watch how we do it." The simulation shifted, showing human mining operations. No atmospheric processors. No sealed environment chambers. Simple, efficient machines designed to work with oxygen rather than against it. "We don't just tolerate oxygen," Webb explained, his voice carrying the passion of someone who truly loved his work. "We harness it. Our equipment is designed to use atmospheric oxygen as part of the extraction process. What you spend billions trying to eliminate, we use as a tool." The cost analysis updated. The difference was staggering. "Impossible," Krell whispered, their sensor stalks quivering. "The equipment would deteriorate within days." "Would it?" Chen nodded to another engineer, who activated a secondary display. "This is live footage from our mining operation on Vertex 7. That equipment has been running continuously for 3 years in an atmosphere with 30% oxygen content." Commissioner Zwickstall's membrane shifted to the deep purple of intense interest. "How?" "Materials science," Webb said. "We've had millennia to perfect oxygen-resistant alloys. It's not just about surviving oxygen, it's about working with it. Our metallurgy, our chemical processes, our entire industrial base is built around oxygen interaction." The demonstrations continued. Human teams showed how they could work directly in environments that would require other species to use expensive protective equipment. They demonstrated emergency procedures that would be impossible in sealed suits. They showed repair techniques that could be performed in minutes instead of hours because they didn't need to set up atmospheric containment fields. But the real value, Chen said, bringing up a galactic map, is here. Red dots appeared across the map, hundreds of them. These are oxygen-rich worlds that the Federation has classified as economically unfeasible for resource extraction. We can make them profitable. Krell's skepticism was finally wavering. The startup costs are minimal compared to your current methods, Chen interrupted. We already have the technology, the techniques, and most importantly, the workforce that can operate in these environments naturally. We're not selling you a new process, we're selling you access to environments you've had to abandon. Commissioner ZYXTAL had been quiet for most of the demonstration, their analytical mind processing the implications. Your species' natural oxygen resistance is remarkable, they finally said. But what about the risks? The Council will want assurances. Chen's expression grew serious. Commissioner, every spacefaring species has environments they're uniquely suited for. The KL theory can survive radiation that would kill most species. The VX-Thal operate in pressure that would crush others. We're not asking for special treatment, we're offering to fill a gap in the Federation's capabilities. And the profit margins? ZYXTAL asked, their membrane rippling with barely contained excitement. Webb brought up the final analysis. The numbers spoke for themselves. Access to previously abandoned resources, reduced operational costs, simplified logistics, the potential returns were enormous. There's one more thing, Chen added, her voice carrying a note of calculated casualness. We've been discussing industrial applications, but oxygen-rich environments aren't just found on uninhabited worlds. She brought up another map, this one showing populated systems. There are 17 Federation member species whose homeworlds have oxygen levels that make emergency response nearly impossible for most races. We can offer services they've never had access to before. The implications hit ZYXTAL like a gravity wave. Rescue operations. Emergency repairs. Medical response teams that could work without environmental equipment. The humans weren't just offering industrial services, they were positioning themselves as essential emergency responders for a significant portion of the Federation. You've thought this through, ZYXTAL said, their membrane shifting to the pale blue of admiration. We've had to, Chen replied. When your biology is seen as a hazard, you learn to turn it into an asset. She paused, then added, Commissioner, we're not just selling our services. We're offering the Federation access to environments and capabilities it's never had before. The only question is, are you ready to see oxygen tolerance as an advantage rather than a liability? The demonstration chamber's oxygen levels began returning to standard as ZYXTAL prepared their notes for the Council. The humans had made their case well. Their oxygen processing wasn't just a quirk of biology, it was a key to unlocking resources and possibilities that had been out of reach for generations. The Council would still need convincing. But as ZYXTAL watched the human team efficiently pack up their equipment, working comfortably in an environment that would kill most species, they knew the humans had just changed the game. The oxygen breathers weren't just applying for membership, they were offering to reshape the Federation's understanding of what was possible. The emergency alert shattered the quiet of the Federation Trade Center's night cycle. Commissioner ZYXTAL's membrane pulsed with alarm as they absorbed the details, a catastrophic containment failure at the VX-Thal colony's atmospheric processing plant. Oxygen levels were rising rapidly in their underground cities. For the oxygen-sensitive VX-Thal, it was a nightmare scenario. Evacuation protocols are in effect, reported Emergency Director NTH, their crystalline form vibrating with stress. But the rising oxygen levels have already made standard Federation rescue operations impossible. Environmental suits are failing under the extreme oxidation. What about the humans? ZYXTAL interrupted. The emergency channel fell silent. Then Amanda Chen's voice cut through the tension, we're already mobilizing, Commissioner. Our emergency response team was running drills when the alert came in. The main display showed the human rescue ships launching. No complex atmospheric shields. No expensive containment fields. Just specialized equipment designed to work in high-oxygen environments, operated by beings who breathed the very substance that was threatening thousands of VX-Thou lives. This is exactly the kind of situation we trained for. Chen's voice was steady, professional. Our teams are equipped with VX-Thou-compatible rescue gear and portable atmospheric processors. We can work in the compromised environments and establish safe zones for evacuation. HFY watched as the human ships entered the VX-Thou atmosphere. The colony's environmental sensors painted a terrifying picture, oxygen levels that would kill most Federation species within minutes. The humans moved through it as if it were nothing unusual. First team has made contact, reported Marcus Webb, now coordinating from the ground. We're establishing an emergency response perimeter. The portable processors are already reducing oxygen levels in key evacuation routes. The rescue operation unfolded with practiced efficiency. Human teams moved deep into the affected areas, their natural oxygen resistance allowing them to reach places that would be suicide missions for other rescue workers. They set up atmospheric barriers, created safe corridors, and began moving VX-Thou civilians to secure areas. They're not just surviving in there, Emergency Director Ninth observed, their crystalline form shimmering with amazement. They're thriving. Look at their movement patterns, no degradation in performance despite the toxic atmosphere. The main display showed a human rescue worker carrying two young VX-Thou through an area where the oxygen concentration would have destroyed standard environmental suits in seconds. The worker's only concession to the environment was a light filter mask, not for the oxygen, but for the crystalline dust common in VX-Thou architecture. Secondary containment breach in Sector 7. The alert cut through the command channel. A new wave of oxygen was flooding into the lower levels of the colony. Reroute civilian evacuation to secondary corridors, Chen ordered calmly. Engineering Team 3, proceed to breach location. We can handle direct exposure, prioritize sealing the leak. HFY's membrane rippled with realization. The humans weren't just managing the crisis, they were able to address its source while simultaneously conducting rescue operations. Their oxygen tolerance wasn't just allowing them to survive, it was giving them tactical options that would be impossible for standard Federation emergency teams. The next few hours were a blur of activity. Human teams moved through the colony with increasing confidence, their natural abilities proving more valuable with each passing minute. They sealed breaches that other species couldn't even approach. They established safe zones in areas that would have been written off as lost. They turned what could have been a catastrophic failure into a manageable emergency. Final numbers coming in, Webb reported as the crisis began to stabilize. 3,427 VX-Thou evacuated safely. All critical infrastructure secured. Atmospheric processing plant repairs underway. Casualties? HFY asked, dreading the answer. 0, Chen replied. We got everyone out. The emergency command center fell silent. 0 casualties in an oxygen exposure event of this magnitude was unprecedented. The implications were staggering. How? Emergency Director Ninth finally asked. Even with your oxygen tolerance, the conditions in there were exactly what we're built for, Chen said simply. Commissioner, this is what we've been trying to explain. Our biology isn't just about tolerating oxygen. We've built our entire civilization around managing it, controlling it, and yes, saving lives in environments that others can't even enter. HFY's membrane shifted to the deep blue of decision. Prepare a full report for the Council. Include everything, response times, resource utilization, casualty prevention metrics. Today's operation wasn't just a rescue mission, it was a demonstration of capabilities the Federation desperately needs. There's more, Webb added, bringing up a technical analysis. The techniques we developed to repair the containment systems, they can be adapted to prevent similar failures in the future. This isn't just about emergency response, it's about improving safety across all oxygen risk operations. As the human teams began their debrief, ZYXTAL watched the VXTAL colony's atmospheric readings return to safe levels. The oxygen breathers had just proven their worth beyond any doubt. They hadn't just saved lives, they'd demonstrated possibilities that no one in the Federation had even considered before. The Council would have to acknowledge it now. The humans weren't just offering a new service, they were providing access to capabilities that could reshape emergency response throughout Federation space. Their toxic biology wasn't a liability, it was the key to saving countless lives. Chen, ZYXTAL called out as the human commander prepared to leave. The Council meets in 2 cycles. I want you there. Chen nodded, understanding the significance. We'll be ready, Commissioner. And next time an emergency like this happens, we'll be able to respond even faster. The implications hung in the air like a promise. The oxygen breathers were about to change everything, one breath at a time. The Federation Council chamber buzzed with tension as Trade Representative Vix Nor of the ZK Theory Consortium took the podium. Their crystalline form glowed with carefully controlled aggression as they faced the assembled delegates. Esteemed Council members, Vix Nor's translated voice rang clear. The Consortium is deeply concerned about the rushed integration of these oxygen processors into our trade networks. Their biological peculiarity is being marketed as an advantage without proper risk assessment. Commissioner ZYXTAL noticed Amanda Chen's slight smile at the term oxygen processors. The humans had grown used to such dismissive labels. The consortium has developed alternatives, Vix Nor continued, activating a holographic display. Behold the OxyShield Mark 7, a fully automated environmental management system capable of operating in high-oxygen environments without the inherent risks of biological operators. The display showed sleek, crystalline machines moving through oxygen-rich environments. The ZK Theory were known for their advanced robotics, and they'd clearly invested heavily in this counter to human capabilities. Impressive, Chen remarked quietly to ZYXTAL. But watch their power consumption readings. ZYXTAL's membrane shifted to the pale green of amusement as they noticed what Chen had already seen. The energy required to maintain the OxyShield's protective fields was astronomical. Furthermore, Vix Nor pressed on, we cannot ignore the security implications. These humans literally carry a toxic substance within their bodies. Their very presence requires extensive safety protocols. Point of order, Chen's voice cut through the chamber as she stood. The Council has requested a practical demonstration of competing technologies. We welcome the opportunity. The chamber erupted in murmurs. Direct competition between species technologies was rare in Federation politics. The VXTAL Colonial Authority has graciously offered their decommissioned mining complex as a testing ground, Chen continued. We propose a simple challenge, successful resource extraction in an oxygen-rich environment, evaluated on efficiency, safety, and cost-effectiveness. Vix Nor's crystalline form flickered with what might have been concern. The consortium accepts. 3 days later, the demonstration began. The VXTAL mining complex, abandoned decades ago due to its oxygen-rich environment, became the arena for a technological showdown. The ZK Theory OxyShield units moved with impressive precision, their crystalline structures gleaming as they began their mining operations. Their protective fields kept oxygen away from sensitive components, allowing them to work in the hostile environment. The human team, by contrast, looked almost primitive. No force fields. No complex environmental systems. Just specialized equipment and operators who treated oxygen as a natural part of their environment. Initial efficiency readings, reported the Federation Evaluation Team. ZK Theory OxyShield units, operating at 62% capacity. Power consumption exceeding projected levels by 45%. Human operations, 89% efficiency, power consumption within standard parameters. Hour after hour, the difference became more apparent. The oxy-shield units required frequent stops for power cell replacement and field recalibration. The humans worked steadily, their natural abilities allowing them to maintain and repair equipment without interruption. Perhaps speed isn't everything, Vixnor argued during the midpoint evaluation. Our systems offer guaranteed safety. An alarm cut through the observation chamber. One of the oxy-shield units had suffered a field failure. Within seconds, the oxygen-rich atmosphere began corroding its crucial components. The human response was immediate. Without waiting for authorization, a maintenance team rushed into the compromised area. They secured the failing unit, prevented a catastrophic cascade failure, and safely shut down its systems. Interesting safety guarantee, Chen commented dryly as the humans extracted the damaged unit. Fortunately, our toxic biology allowed us to prevent the loss of your very expensive equipment. The demonstration continued, but the outcome was already clear. The ZK theory technology, while impressive, couldn't match the simple efficiency of operators who didn't need to fight against oxygen with every movement. Final analysis, the evaluation team announced. Human operations demonstrated 83% greater efficiency, 91% lower power consumption, and 76% reduced operational costs compared to the oxy-shield system. Additionally, human emergency response capabilities proved crucial in preventing equipment loss. Vixnor's form had dimmed considerably. The cost difference is even more significant when you factor in equipment longevity, Chen interrupted, bringing up their own analysis. Our oxygen-adapted technology doesn't fight the environment, it works with it. Over a standard mining cycle, the cost difference becomes exponential. Commissioner ZYXTAL watched as the council members absorbed the implications. The ZK theory had tried to match human capabilities with technology alone, but they'd missed the fundamental advantage. Humans weren't just tolerating oxygen-rich environments, they were naturally adapted to thrive in them. There's one more factor to consider, Chen added, her voice carrying clear authority. The oxy-shield units require constant power to maintain their protective fields. One serious power failure, and you lose everything. We can operate safely even if every system fails. You can't engineer around biology, at least, not at any reasonable cost. The demonstration had turned into something more than a competition between technologies. It had become a clear illustration of why the human's natural capabilities couldn't be easily replicated or replaced. As the council prepared their formal evaluation, ZYXTAL noticed Vixnor approaching Chen. Your biology, the ZK theory representative said quietly, it's not just about oxygen tolerance, is it? Your entire approach to environmental challenges, it's fundamentally different from ours. Chen nodded. We don't see oxygen as an enemy to be blocked out. It's part of who we are, how we think, how we solve problems. That's something no machine can replicate. The competition had achieved something unexpected. It hadn't just proved human capabilities, it had demonstrated why those capabilities were uniquely valuable. No amount of technology could fully replace the advantage of beings who were naturally adapted to work in environments others found lethal. The oxygen breathers hadn't just won a competition. They'd proved they were irreplaceable. The Federation Council's private chamber felt unusually tense as the final deliberations began. Commissioner ZYXTAL's membrane rippled with anticipation as they watched the council members take their positions. The past month's events had changed everything, from the successful rescue operation to the technological demonstration that had humbled the ZK Theory Consortium. Amanda Chen stood before the council, her posture relaxed but professional. Behind her, holographic displays showed a galaxy map highlighting oxygen-rich worlds, emergency response scenarios, and economic projections. Honored Council, Chen began, we've demonstrated our capabilities in crisis situations. We've proven our efficiency in industrial applications. But today, I want to discuss something more fundamental, symbiosis. The chamber's atmosphere shifted subtly as environmental systems adjusted to the various species' needs. The irony wasn't lost on anyone, Every species required specialized environmental control, except the humans standing before them. The Federation prides itself on combining the unique strengths of its member species, Chen continued. The VX-Thal's crystalline computing. The ZK Theory's energy manipulation. The YN-Tri's gravitic engineering. Each species contributes capabilities that others cannot replicate. She gestured to the displays. Humanity's oxygen adaptation isn't just a quirk of biology. It's the key to accessing environments, resources, and possibilities that have been out of reach. But more importantly, it's a capability that fills a critical gap in Federation operations. The economic advisor, a YN-Tri named Selmath, floated forward. The cost analyses are compelling, but there are concerns about integration. Your biology requires special safety protocols. Does it? Chen interrupted smoothly. Every species in this chamber requires environmental control. The VX-Thal need crystalline dust in their atmosphere. The ZK Theory can't function in magnetic fields above certain thresholds. We simply need less. She brought up new data streams. Our environmental requirements are actually simpler than most Federation species. We can operate in a wider range of temperatures, pressures, and atmospheric conditions. Yes, we process oxygen, but that same process makes us invaluable in situations where oxygen control is crucial. The Security Council representative, a KL theory named Vexthor, raised their sensory stalks. The rescue operation at the VX-Thal colony was impressive. But it was one incident. It was a proof of concept, Chen corrected. We've identified 17 Federation member species whose homeworlds have oxygen levels that make emergency response challenging. We're not just offering industrial services, we're offering security. Peace of mind. The knowledge that when environmental systems fail, someone can still reach you. Commissioner ZYXTAL noticed the shift in the Council's attention. The humans had moved beyond selling services, they were offering solutions to problems many species hadn't even acknowledged they had. But there's more, Chen continued, bringing up new projections. Our oxygen adaptation has led us to develop technologies that work with oxygen rather than against it. Imagine applying that perspective to other environmental challenges. We don't just want to sell our services, we want to collaborate, to combine our approach with your technologies. The display showed hybrid systems, human oxygen processing principles combined with ZK Theory crystalline computing, creating more efficient environmental controls. Human material science merged with VX-Thal architecture, producing structures that could withstand oxygen exposure without constant protection. We're not just oxygen breathers, Chen emphasized. We're innovators who have turned what others see as a toxin into a tool. And we're ready to share that perspective, to help the Federation reimagine what's possible. The Council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The humans weren't just offering to fill a niche, they were proposing to transform how the Federation approached environmental challenges. High Counselor Zyra Th, their energy form pulsing with interest, spoke for the first time. You've proven your capabilities. But integration into Federation society requires more than technical prowess. How do you address the cultural concerns? Chen smiled. By being exactly what we are, adaptable. We don't need others to change for us. We don't need special accommodations. We're asking the Federation to see our difference not as a hazard to be managed, but as a strength to be utilized. She gestured to the chamber's environmental controls. Every species here has evolved to thrive in specific conditions. We've evolved to thrive in conditions that others find challenging. That's not a liability, it's exactly what makes us valuable. The Council deliberated for hours. When they emerged, their decision was unanimous. The Federation accepts humanity's application for full membership, High Counselor Zyra Th announced. Furthermore, we are establishing a new division, Environmental Adaptation and Response. Humanity will take a leading role in developing new approaches to environmental challenges across Federation space. As the announcement concluded, Commissioner Zhuangtal approached Chen. You didn't just sell them on your capabilities, they observed. You sold them on a new way of thinking. Chen nodded. That's what humans do best, Commissioner. We don't just adapt to challenges, we transform them into opportunities. The Federation hasn't just gained oxygen breathers, they've gained partners who see possibilities where others see problems. The chamber began to empty, but the implications of the day's decision would ripple across the galaxy. The oxygen breathers had done more than earn their place in the Federation. They'd proven that sometimes, the most valuable asset isn't technology or resources, it's perspective. In the end, humanity's greatest contribution to the Federation wasn't their ability to breathe oxygen. It was their ability to show others how to turn their own unique traits into strengths. The oxygen breathers had become more than service providers, they had become pioneers in a new way of thinking about adaptation, innovation, and cooperation across the stars. The sales pitch was over. The real work was about to begin.